Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We review anything and everything. And today we're getting into this OmniHeat little portable heaters. Now this is a 2-pack. I purchased this off Costco. If they're available on Amazon, I'm gonna have the link in the description down below. Now, some people are not fans of using portable heaters, and I understand that. They say the risk of fire and this and that, or whatever the case is. I've actually used portable heaters for a long time. I think they're very convenient. I think they very much help. Especially if you are a homeowner and you have to lower your heat usage, the house heat, because that can end up being an expensive bill, and sometimes having these scattered around in different rooms when you're in those rooms or want to have them warm is really nice. And a lot of these things usually come with a lot of safety features and smart features. I don't know if this is going to have that as well. It actually says it right here. Safety tip over protection. So safety tip over protection, I'm sorry. So and I've used portable heaters before that have that, which is a good thing. It says child protect lock. I'm not too sure about that. A lot of times Costco makes some they usually sell, I'm gonna say they sell usually good products, good quality products. They usually won't put cheap stuff inside their stores. So that's a good way to weed things out. Now I've used Lasco heaters before and a few other smaller brand heaters that were less named, small like these, and I've always had positive experiences. The only negative I'm gonna say is the fact that a lot of these heaters do have an expiration date. And what I mean by that is at a certain point, they just stop working well. I have right now, I used to have like 4 small portable heaters and almost all of them eventually died out. They served their purpose. They were only like about $20, $25 each. They served their purpose, but at a certain point in time, they just stopped working. I have one now that when you turn it on, it doesn't always turn on. And sometimes then you have to unplug it, wait a little while, then plug it back in and it'll work. So it was time for me to kind of get a new one. We're coming into the cold season. Now, these at Costco ran for roughly, I wanna say, for 2, it was like $32, which like I said, if you price them at $20 each, which normally these kind of heaters go for $20 to $25 each on Amazon, like other brands, but just in general, the size, then that is a good deal. Like I said, link's gonna be in the description for Amazon below if it is available on Amazon. Smart eco mode, so consistent temperatures with less energy. Let's see how all that stuff goes. Programmable thermostat. Let's see how some of these features look, because I've used some that are very bare, basic, no digital display. I'm seeing a digital display on these already. Before I open it up, you can pause the video and read some of these things for yourself. Low, medium, high, and eco. Programmable thermostat, program 12-hour timer. Eco mode, automatic optimized energy use. I'm not too sure how that eco mode is going to work in terms of you actually getting the heat you want. But what I will say is this, and it says touch panel and digital display. That's interesting. Same as the front over here. What I will say is these things consume a lot of power, And I don't remember if I demonstrated this on a video or not. I'm not too sure, but at one point I was reviewing and a power bank that I had. I'm forgetting the brand off the top of my head right now. But anyway, it was one of those kind of big power banks that you would use if you have like a power outage. And this one was on the level to power up like your refrigerator. That was the purpose of why I bought it, along with any kind of other things you might need to use or want to use it for. And I realized why I thought that, you know, our understanding of what takes a lot of electricity and what doesn't. These things on low mode, which should take about 900 watts, and then the full power mode is 1,500. It drains so much power that my power bank, which could power my refrigerator for about 12 hours, would only last to power my portable battery. The portable battery would only last to power up a heater like this for an hour, about an hour time. And that's on maybe a little bit over an hour on the weak mode. And on the strong mode, it's probably something like 45 minutes or something like that. So I say that to say, definitely, these things drain a lot of power. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. If you ever said to yourself, okay, in a blackout, this is one of those things that you would use along with maybe having your refrigerator powered or anything like that. If you did have a battery bank, And when I say I mean a portable battery station, one of those ones that, not like a little Anchor charger or something like that, if you guys are confused with what I'm referring to. But just know that this is not going to be one of the things you're going to use or put on, because it's going to drain all your battery. And obviously in those situations, if you had a blackout or whatever the case is, you're trying to conserve power, even though if it's the cold season, you're going to want to be warm. Unfortunately, this is not going to be the thing to power you up. But relative to the cost of heating, like I said, either if you live, if it doesn't burn a lot of electricity in regards to electricity as a whole. So if you need a little bit more heat in your apartment, go for this. If you're a homeowner and you're just trying to reduce the cost of heat, I definitely recommend these things. And I know some people, like I said, they get scared of these kind of things. They're worried it's going to burn their house down. It's as simple as this. Don't use them when you're not home to power up, to heat up a room that you're not home. When you get home and you're awake, you can use it to heat up the room. Aside from that, don't. And I'm sorry guys, it's taking a while, but just wanted to show the full unboxing experience. As far as some people are heavy sleepers, so they might feel like I don't want to have that on while I'm sleeping, and I understand that. So it's just a decision you got to make on your own. But these really do save you a lot of money and heating costs if you guys are okay with running these at nighttime while you're sleeping. And then that way you get under the covers, you throw this on, you keep the heat in your house relatively low, maybe 65 instead of 70. And yeah, risk of heat stroke, remove before use, obviously. So we're gonna do that. Toss that to the side. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna plug this in. Okay, so I plugged it up. I accidentally pressed the on button. I didn't mean to, and I tried to turn it off and I couldn't turn it off. So I had to look into the instructions really quick to understand. And what it is that when you press the power button to turn it on, the heater turns on. Then when you press it to turn it off, you gotta wait 15 seconds before it cools itself down to actually turn off. I don't mean cool itself down literally, but I mean like the cool down time. So that's something to be mindful of. And we're gonna kind of jump into this real quick. I'm gonna go over just these things that they say here. You could pause that and read it for yourself, but I'm gonna go through them and the buttons and whatnot. I'm gonna turn this to the side because I don't want all that hot air blowing on me right now. So let's see, we have the plus and minus button off to the side over there. I hope you guys can see that relatively okay. I don't want to change the angle of everything right now, but that is the farthest one away is the timer button. That's the timer button. And then this right here is the plus and then minus thermostat button. Let me just turn it a little bit. Plus and minus thermostat button. What I got a little confused with is that these two look like they were linked together, so I didn't understand. What it is I guess you press both of those at the same time to enable the child lock. And then children wouldn't be able to press it. I gotta see what that icon means there. But this button right here, is the heat button. It says heat setting, and this is obviously the on and off. So, and then the plus and minus is to adjust. It says setting, adjustment, thermostat, and timer. So I'm going to read through the functions of these things really quick. Obviously the power button I already mentioned. You press it, turns it on, press it again, you got to wait 15 seconds. The heat setting button says press heat mode button to choose the heat mode to eco H1, which, okay, H1 it says is low, and H2 which is medium, and H3 which is high. So I guess that just means heat. So heat 1, heat 2, heat 3. We're gonna assume that's what it means. And obviously eco mode, so you have the 4 modes. In eco mode, the heater will automatically adjust the heat setting according to the room temperature for the most optimized setting and energy saving. So what's interesting about that, I would say, is almost all heaters that I've ever used normally have, you know what, I'm gonna pause the video. I'm just gonna bring in my other functioning heater right now. Okay, so I'm not gonna go heavy into this, and it's old, and it's just for the purpose, just kind of displaying, showing something really quickly. But what I was gonna say is that most heaters have these settings here, which is fan, and it doesn't produce heat, so I don't know why it's just fan. I guess just circulate the air in the room. Light mode and then heavy mode. So that will be like the 9,000 watt, the light mode, and the heavy mode will be 1500 watts. So all these are gonna fall inside a category of 1500 watts. This is normally the temperature gauge. It's not exact temperature, but whatever you're feeling the temperature is in the room, you bring it up to the point where it turns on, and that tells you it's right around that range of the room. But if it's already on, you bring it slightly to the range where it clicks off, and then you know that's like just below the temperature that the room is, the temperatures inside the room. So it's not based on a digital meter, and most cheaper models are like this. This is like the standard design that you would get on Amazon for most ones like this. Now this branding here, I forget which one it is, and this is a very older model. It's on its last leg out because it gives me problems sometimes. Not in terms of anything risky of fire or anything like that, but just that sometime it won't actually like turn on, which I'm gonna put it aside now that I got these new ones. But anyway, so I just wanted to show that to say that all of them work in this eco smart mode. All of them kind of pretty much work like that. And if you don't want them be going based off the ambient temperature of the room, you just put them all the way on the plus, and then now will just stay on all the time. So I just wanted to point that out, because when it's saying eco mode for the purpose of advertisement and making it sound extra special, all the heaters by default have that eco mode, if that's what they're referring to by eco mode, which I believe that is what they're referring to when they say eco mode. So once again, it says in eco mode, the heater will automatically adjust the heat setting according to the room temperature for the most optimized setting and energy savings. So we're gonna play around with that to kind of see how that is, but I'm gonna guess that if it's in eco mode, then you are using the adjustment for the temperature thermostat. If it's not in eco mode, it's just pumping out heat either on the low setting, the high setting, or the medium setting, and that's it. Let's see. The lock, right now they're showing the lock symbol icon, which is the child thing. It says press timer and the plus and hold for 3 seconds to activate or deactivate the child lock setting. Setting confirmed after 3 seconds countdown on display. Okay, so we'll see about that and if we're gonna play around with that, but I also don't wanna end up locking myself out of this in any way. Not that it should be hard, the directions should be simple to follow. The next thing is the timer symbol, and it says turn off timer. When the heater is on, press timer button to automatically turn the heater off. 0 to 12 hours is what it says in parentheses. And then it says continue pressing the timer button to reach the desired time setting. So I guess the way that works is when you turn the heater on, you press the timer button, it turns it off, and then you cycle through from 0 to 12 hours, and you just kind of, so it's almost like a temporary off as you're setting the setting of how much time it is. I assume, I'm not really too sure. It says timer off timer, and a timer on timer is the next section. It says when the heater is off, press the timer button to automatically turn the heater on. And it says 0 to 12 in parentheses, 0 to 12 hours. Continue pressing the timer button to reach the desired time setting. So it's, let me see. If it's off, right now it's off. I'm assuming the way it's saying is if I put the timer, now it comes on and I can cycle through the time. So it did come on. And this is changing the time upwards. So they both go upwards, that goes downwards. There goes the 15 seconds counting down till it turns off. And so it says when the heater is off, the timer button's gonna turn it on. But now if it's on, if I press the timer button, it should turn it off. When the heater is on, press the timer button to automatically turn the heater off. It doesn't work the way that it describes, but nonetheless, you could just simply put it on to set the timer and then do as forth with that. But it doesn't, the way it's saying it, and once again, bringing this into frame, you could pause that and read it for yourself where you have the time icon right here. But essentially, it's kind of weird the way it describes it. So the last thing is just a plus and minus, which is to increase or decrease the desired temperature setting, or the timer temperature setting ranges is 65 to 85, and timer setting is from 0 to 12 hours. So that's all we're gonna go over in terms of the instruction booklet. We're gonna play around with a few things. So that's obviously turning it on, and then I can decrease the temperature setting. And it resets, so it doesn't go down to like stop at that amount. Once you go below it, it resets to 85. 85 I think was the high temperature. Now I'm going to try to switch modes. This is eco. So eco, it's in eco right now. In theory, eco should stop now because I have the temperature down to 65. I don't think that the room is colder than that, because then I would be cold and I'm not. So I'm not really too sure. High 1, heat, I'm sorry, heat 1, heat 2, heat 3, and then eco. So eco should be for the temperature, but it's not shutting off. So I'm not really too sure with that, unless it's just that it needs time to kind of run and get adjusted to the temperature around. I'm not really too sure. But that is what is happening now. That's where we're getting with right now with this. So not really too sure. Oh, I just seen another feature inside this as well. That's interesting. Just reading over something really quick. Doesn't display the temperatures, but let me turn this off. I'm gonna have to definitely get used to this as far as like the whole eco and it shutting off on its own, because I'll be honest with you, that's an important feature when you're sleeping and the room starts getting hot. And now if it gets too hot and you can't adjust it, it can get to a point where you're uncomfortable. Now you got to wake up in the middle of the night to turn it off. But one thing I just noticed here was that you can pull these out, and then this gives you something to wrap the wire around when you want to store it. You can wrap it the way I'll show you a picture of how they did it inside here. They did it like that, where they're tangling it up. And then you see in figure 3, it's all twisted around like that. So that is that. You got a carrying handle right here. Let me put these back. Yep. So nice, smooth, clean look. The digital display is nice. There's a little, looks like a little plug icon on the top. Let me just show you guys that right there. I'm not really too sure. So that right there is just letting us know that I think that it's no longer on flat ground. Yeah, I mean, that's not on flat ground as far as when those things come on. But there's nothing here really going into depth, at least that I'm not seeing at a glance, about what that is. All right, here also tells us, that's what I was looking for, the temperatures, not the temperatures, but the wattage. Low is 700, which most of them, like I said, only have a 2 level setting, which is usually medium and high, or low and high. And low would be 900 and high would be 15. So it's nice that this has an even lower setting at 700. That's actually really nice, because you could save a lot of power, and often these things will be overkill to heat up a room. You only need it to be on the light level to heat up an entire basic size room. You just got to let it run its time, but it's better that than leaving it on the ultra high setting for a room you don't need that. I know this video went on. I just really wanted to dive into it like in a really deep detail and just kind of go over it with you guys. Like, once again, I definitely recommend these type of things. So I'm definitely going to recommend this because the features on it feels to have a lot more premium features with the more adjustable, like even lower heating setting, the digital display. I don't understand why as of right now, that whole heating setting, it's not turning off on its own. That's something I have to play with, but I'm pretty sure they won't put a product out there and then that be a feature that doesn't work. So I probably just got to figure it out, or at least let it run its time and then it'll come off. But with that being said, I definitely recommend you guys getting something like this. The value on it is very good. Like I said, I'm going to try to put the link in the description if it is available on Amazon. And with that being said, you guys, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.